Okay, YouTubers and space detectives, this is Joe from ArtAlienTV, and today I've got a new Gigapan set for you to check out and some new finds for you to look at and a few other things as well I'm going to throw in here. And I will put, as usual, I will put links in the description below to this Gigapan. You can also get the original raw images by going on the information here and going to the Caltech link at the top. That will take you to this page, which is where the images came from, this one here, sorry. That would take you to this page. And the images to download are the brown ones here, generally, but you don't have to download them. That's why I've done the Gigapan, so you don't have to do that. You can look at the raw images here. I've got a raw Gigapan, enhanced Gigapan, one looking south towards Mount Sharp at the top, and another one at the bottom here looking north, away from Mount Sharp, okay? Now there's a few things here, and I'm sure there are a load more things that I haven't pointed out yet, but I'm only pointing out the obvious larger objects, as usual. Otherwise we'd be here all day, because there's so many little things you could point out and argue about. But basically, as usual, I'm going for the most obvious standout objects, and we're going to take a look at those. Now, the things I found are really quite weird, and as I've said before, I think these ridge lines that we have here, a lot of these are burial mounds that have eroded, and some of these are buildings. Now this one at the back looks like a building, this one here. It's all broken down. In fact, a couple of buildings, one there and another one here, right? And this one here actually looks like a burial mound. Now it doesn't look much when you look at it, but as I've shown 100 times before, if not more, a lot of these ridge lines contain rows of either statues or burials that have been exposed by the weather, by the weathering of the ground and regolith blowing away with wind erosion, okay? And they were burying people in rows, in mounds, at different layers. You would have a layer at the bottom, then another layer halfway up, then another layer at the top. And of course this is eroded away, and we can see there's one here, just here. I'll show you with the magnifier. Just here. There's a head there. Or this one may actually be a partial optical illusion. I'll explain that in a minute, but it's got a nose sticking out, a mouth here, and what looks like an ear type structure, and a head coming round here. But it seems to be joined to something next to it, and it's rather complex, that one. There's lots of other similar things in the area as well, like this here. I'm not really sure about that. The clearest one was over here, and I've marked it over here. Now this is the same ridge line, okay? And this is slightly higher up on the same ridge. Like I said before, they were burying people in these mounds, and they were done in layers, 2 or 3 layers, perhaps even more, okay? And they were buried either in the sitting position, or their heads were removed and placed in little chambers. What we have here, I think, actually backs up that theory. We have a head right here, and there seems to be a structure around the head here, okay? You can see the nose, you can see the eyes and mouth there with teeth showing. It's not very clear, because this is only a very basic enhancement, this is. It's just been colour corrected, or fade corrected, a thing called fade correction, and then brightened up, and then had a bit of colour balance added to it, and that's it. And then I enlarged the whole thing, the whole set of Gigapans, and then uploaded it. But you can check them out on the raw one down here as well. But what I've done is I've done some clips for you already, which are on here, and there's that one I just showed you. Right, let's get in close. Let's go back a little bit. It's a bit too close there. There we are. And there it is. Now what I did is I selected round it and then highlighted it in a brighter colour just to make it stand out. Now you can see the raw clip here, just here. Right, that's completely raw, nothing done to that. And then we have an enhanced clip here. And you can clearly see that this is not a rock. And we've got some kind of structure around it in a sort of oval shape that's kind of broken away and dilapidated down here. So this was a small burial chamber with a head placed in it, it seems, or it could be a statue. But I'm actually going with this being an actual mummified specimen rather than a statue because of the hair detail here. You can actually see this complicated detail here, and you can see that in the raw image there. It's kind of fuzzy, and then the mouth detail doesn't look like the sort of expression that you would put in a statue, unless, of course, it's a gargoyle. It may be a gargoyle. I've shown many of them before. So I'm not really sure 100% either way, because basically there's not quite enough detail. We're not quite close enough to be able to tell whether this is actually a gargoyle, i.e. a carved either clay or stone gargoyle that's been carved, or an actual burial of a head in the remains of a chamber. Okay, it could be either. But it does seem to be sort of placed in this sort of oval-shaped hole here, which to me says that this is more likely a burial. And as I've said many times before, I think they were removing their heads and then placing them in little holes in the rock, and then covering them in regolith or earth in a mound, in a large mound, and that has now eroded away. And there's another one here. Okay, here's that other one. Now this is the one that's further over to the left, which is over here. This one, you can see it here. And this is weird, because if you look to the left of it, we have this weird rock here which seems to have a face on it or something, but I think that's just an optical trick. I don't know. But it's weird because we've got some stuff on top of this thing up here, and it almost looks like it's joined to this behind it, but I don't think it is. I just think that's where the image is in sort of soft focus, not in sharp focus. A lot of things tend to blend together because they're of similar colour, and sometimes it's hard to tell what's in front and what's behind, and things tend to sort of blend together, right? So if you look at the enhancement down here, I've actually pushed the enhancement on it so that it stands out more, the contrast. There's the raw clip there, and there's the actual enhanced one. We've got an ear structure here, we've got a nose sticking out with nostrils, we got mouth detail here, with this kind of weird line just there. If I show you with the magnifier, you'll be able to see that better. We've got this weird line in the mouth there. There's the mouth, there's the eye, there's a large ear structure. This looks like somebody wearing a helmet. You can actually see what looks like a helmet coming round here to there with an earpiece on the side of it, okay? And there's something on top of the helmet here. Now these two dark objects I don't think are part of it. This thing here and this thing here, I think they're just next to it, just slightly behind on this ridge. It's hard to tell. Now, the thing is, when you increase the contrast and brightness on these images, sometimes things behind, if they're brighter or brighter material, tend to jump forward at you, like we got here, and look like they're part of the same thing. But I don't think it is. I think this is behind here. And this thing is kind of looking to the left, and we've got quite good eye detail there, okay? Just there. Okay? And nose detail. And strange mouth detail, almost like it's got a mouthpiece in or something. Now I have shown in videos before, a number of videos actually, that some of these Martians were probably warriors, but were wearing breathing apparatus. In other words, they had a mouthpiece to help them breathe. So that says to me that they may well have been around after the cataclysm on Mars and after much of the oxygen was depleted from the atmosphere, because it did have a rich oxygen atmosphere a very long time ago. So we're told, okay? And it obviously did have oxygen, but my question is, how far back? I don't think it was that long ago. And I think the oxygen levels are higher on the ground than we are being told. Currently, we're told that the atmosphere is less than 1% oxygen. It's about 0.2%, 0.3% or something like that. And about 95 or 96% carbon dioxide, okay? But when did that change? I think it may have only changed 100 years ago or less. Maybe 80 years ago. The 1940s perhaps, okay? Because some of these things just look too good and they look too fresh. And even if you account for the fact that there's almost no moisture in the atmosphere, these things should have rotted down and degraded probably a lot more than they have. So they look quite fresh, as this one does here, okay? This one looks not that old. This, I mean, less than 100 years old, mummified. But as I've said before, the conditions in the soil, in the regolith, with the sulfur and other elements, preserve things extremely well. So these could be hundreds or even thousands of years old, and have only just become exposed as the ground is eroded away, and the soil and sand is been blown away. So it's hard to say exactly how old these are. But this one was insane. This looks like something from a sort of Hollywood film or something. You know, it's absolutely insane. Absolutely crazy. Look at that eye detail and nose detail here, nostrils. What I've done, I've got it up in here. I'm just going to point out the details to you. Right, we've got eyebrows. There's an eye here, obviously. See that eye? There's another one here. Large nostrils coming round. There's the nose. The eyebrows will come round like that. Upper lip. And lower lip. And there's a tooth or two here. Okay? And we seem to have ear detail here as well. And we have hair coming round like this, which is quite complex. Okay? The edge of the face and the chin coming round like this. So there. Okay? Absolutely insane. And it's quite clear. Once you enhance it, obviously you need to brighten it up, add a bit of contrast, like I've done. It's there. It's right there. And the details are pretty cool. It's not in sharp focus. None of this is in sharp focus because it's taken in landscape mode. As I've said 100 times before, we rarely get sharp up-close images of these things because they're taken at a distance. It's zoomed in probably quite a long way, but it's in landscape mode. So nothing's in sharp focus. Everything's in slightly soft focus and all looks a bit fuzzy like we have around here. Okay? Nothing I can do about that. You can get around that a bit by adding contrast and sharpening it, but if you sharpen it, it kind of breaks up, so that doesn't really help much. But that was that one. That's insane, but you can see the nostril detail here coming right round like that. And that nose, quite a big nose. And the eye detail here. And this thing, I'm calling it a thing or person, whatever it is, obviously had big teeth because you can see the way the lips kind of undulate over that tooth there, sticking out, a large tooth there, right? There's another one here. And we've got these undulations in the lower lip, which says to me that there are large teeth, a row of large teeth at the bottom here as well, which are poking into the lip. So we've got these highlighted areas here, 1, 2, 3, okay? Like that. So that says to me, large teeth. You can actually see, you can just about see the teeth there. Just there. You can see a large one here, and there's another one next to it, and you can see those undulations there. That is where the skin possibly has shrunken onto the skull, is dehydrated and shrunk. This was probably a bit chunkier, this face, initially, but it's shriveled and shrunk a bit, and we have teeth kind of showing through the lips there. As the lips have thinned down, you can see the shape of the teeth pushing the shape of the lip out. In other words, it's kind of moulded onto the bone and teeth. So that's what we have here, okay? Extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary. And it's similar to others that have been found in the area. I've got one up here. This was found by Martin Grady a couple of years ago. And I put this Gigapan up, I think last year. And this is Sol 72, so this is really early on. So this was taken many, many years ago, this set of images. And we got one right here. Very similar. Quite ugly, large teeth. And we got those kind of teeth-like details on the bottom lip, as if it's being pushed by a large set of teeth behind it, okay? Kind of pushing it out. Very wide nose, large nostrils. This one's a bit distorted, not as clear. You can see it up here. Just there. It's a bit dark. There he is. So that's another one of the similar species, I would say. Also with hair detail on top. If you check it out on the enhanced one, let's go back to the enhanced one here. We got that similar kind of tufty, blondish hair, okay, on this one, at the top there. It's not very clear if you get too close. Let's go back a bit. So this is Sol 72. This was taken years ago, this picture, really early on. And there are lots of these about. But this one was the most similar in morphology to the one that I'm showing you today, with the sort of blondish hair at the top, tufty hair, very wide nose, and large teeth detail in the mouth. Okay, it's very similar, and big, pronounced brow ridges, kind of Neanderthal looking, kind of animalistic looking, almost kind of ape looking, but not really. Like this one, large brow ridges, very wide nose, large maxilla area. This maxilla area is very large, so the gap between the nostrils and the top lip is very long. And then we have a small chin, like many of them have that I've shown. They have small little chins. They don't have large kind of square jaws like humans do, a lot of these. So this isn't human. Is it? What is it? Is it a kind of proto-human? Is it an ape? Is it some kind of strange alien race? I don't know. But it's obviously a person of some sort. The question is, what type? What type of person is it? I don't know. It's really odd. Obviously alien and not human, but humanoid, and most likely to have a humanoid body with 2 arms, 2 legs, and all the rest of it as well. But as usual, we only get the heads. Why? Because I think they were removing the heads and putting them in these little chambers, in these burial mounds, and the bones or bodies were either eaten or disposed of. I don't know. They may have been burnt. Who knows? Or they may be buried underneath in a little small chamber that's not uncovered. They may have just been piled into a little pile and then shoved in a little chamber behind this somewhere. Who knows? But this one was weird. We've got that weird sort of ear detail on this one. Let's have a look at that in here. I've got it up in here. I'll just highlight that for you. Now this one was interesting because it seems to be wearing a helmet. The helmet sort of comes around like this. You got something on top of the helmet there. Comes around like that. Very similar to some others that I've shown. And we got this big kind of ear, kind of padded part, like an ear muff. Forehead, eyebrow, eye, large nose sticking out, nostril detail, upper lip, chin, and strangely symmetrical lines in the mouth there, which says to me breathing apparatus, like I've shown in some others before. I will show some clips of some others that I've shown as well. Hang on, let's find that now. This one is almost identical in many ways. Wearing a helmet with a large sort of part, like an ear part here. You've got the eyebrow. The helmet looks a bit broken. Nose sticking out, but what we have on this one is what seems to be some kind of breathing apparatus on the nose here. Not the mouth, but the nose. And the helmet sort of comes around like this underneath. But it's more angled at the back. Now, this is Sol 1080, okay? So that's quite a long way off from where we are today. So it's not the same one, although it does look very similar. See what we got here? This is the same sort of gear we're looking at. The same sort of helmet, almost. Very similar, but in a different condition to that one. Let's go back to that one. Very similar. So I'll put all these images back to back. There's also another one. I'll quickly show you that as well. I've got some others up here. Now, that's the same one in the middle I just showed you, with the nose piece there. There's this one with a full helmet and nose and mouth piece here, where it's all kind of broken away a bit. This is a mummified head of a person in a helmet, not far from there. And there's this other head here, which is different again, which has pipes coming out of the nose. It's got a pipe coming out here. There's the skull, there's the eye. This is like a helmet, but with a tube coming out of the nose area. So they were wearing breathing apparatus because they were probably operating on the ground after the oxygen had depleted in the atmosphere. In other words, there was activity, warfare, fighting going on in the area after the cataclysm. In other words, there were survivors and there was still activity on the ground probably long after, and may still be now. Okay, so that was interesting as a comparison. Anyway, there was one or two other things in this Gigapan. I'll show you very quickly before we go. There was this thing. There was Terry Burnett was pointing this out on Mars Magazine earlier today or yesterday, and there's this weird chamber. Now this is the same sol. This is 984. But this is looking north, away from Mount Sharp. We've got Mount Sharp in the top one, which is looking south, roughly. And this is roughly looking north. And we've got this chamber, which also seems to have what looks like a head in it here. Just here. It's not very clear. Just here. You just about make out two eyes, a nose and a mouth there. But this is quite small. And there's this strange kind of figurine or something behind it there. I'll take a clip of that and brighten it up for you, see if I can drag out some more details from that. Okay, but that's in shadow, so it's not going to look great because it's in a dark shadow. But like I said, a lot of these ridges were more like this initially, and they had multiple chambers in them. There's another chamber here, just here. What's that there? Is that anything in there? That's weird. But that looks like another chamber. They were quite roughly made. And like I said, they were using concrete and using the local regolith to make a lot of these structures. And clay, and making clay from the regolith, which has got a high sulfur content, so it's easy to make stuff like statues and buildings out of it. You can make almost anything out of it. And you could just pile it up, and the pure pressure of the weight on top of it forms it into a form of kind of concrete composite because of the high sulfur content, which acts like a glue. It's almost like a composite plastic kind of concrete material. That's what it looks like when you make it. And I have shown it in videos before, where on Earth they've mimicked the or copied the chemical makeup of the soil, and then they've squashed it into bricks just by adding pressure to it. It forms like a clay brick straight away. You don't even have to have water present to make a building block from it. So this is very durable material they got in this area, and it would have been easy to make structures, but of course they would have eroded probably fairly easily as well. But these may be millions of years old, and I think a lot of these mounds were constructed buildings, but they had lots and lots in this particular area of these mounds with little chambers in them, and you can see some of the chambers here sticking out in detail there. We got one there. They're all kind of broken down, and there's probably loads buried down here, and loads of weird things here. And I'm really looking forward to the new rover, which is going to be just over a week from today. In about 8 days' time, this will be landing the Transformer Perseverance. The Transformer starts off like this as it comes into land, and then folds out on landing. The wheels kind of fold out like a transformer. Absolutely amazing. A bit like the Curiosity. It's very similar to the Curiosity rover, this one. And they're using the same landing method, which is a sky crane. It comes down like this to start with, and then it sort of does this, drops it on the ground. I think the wheels kind of fold out before it hits the ground to absorb some of the impact. Okay, that's really cool. And I will be doing plenty of updates on this mission, on the Jezero crater mission, and it's going to be really cool. And I'll be posting images as they come down straight onto ArtAlienTV Mars Magazine here, and I'll be doing videos and updates constantly on that as well. Okay, that's going to be really exciting. Anything could happen. Okay, let's hope it goes well. I'm sure it will. But initially, like with the Curiosity rover, I'd be very interested in the blast radius here. When it lands, a lot of dust will be blown away, and there will probably be a bunch of fossils just on the ground right next to the rover where it landed, just like with the Curiosity rover, as I have shown. Okay, because the blast from these rockets on the lander here will blow away the sand and regolith, uncovering perhaps some things right there at the landing site. Okay, so that's what I'm predicting. I'm not saying that we're going to find any fossils, but there might be something there. Who knows? I'd say it's a better than 50-50 chance, because that's what happened with the Curiosity rover. So there we are. Looking forward to that. So do come along to ArtAlienTV Mars magazine and join up. It's completely free. There will be lots of updates on here, on Operation Jezero, the Perseverance rover, or Percy for short. So check that out. You can come along, check out the links below, as usual. It'll take you to this Gigapan, and you can zoom right in. And like I said before, I do recommend the Hover Zoom magnifier, which you can get for any browser, and just attaches to your browser up there. So you look it up, and you can get it for free, and you can really look at these things up close and check out these details, because it really helps to see that these things are really there. Okay, they're actually there. We may not understand exactly what they are fully yet. I'm getting close to it, but there's always more mysteries to be uncovered, and the more we uncover, the more mysteries there are. Okay, so it's almost like an endless mystery, really. So thanks for watching, everybody. Clips coming up now.